So
You're right.
Yeah.
I like how you roll your eyes when you say that. Nikki.
Champagne. Doesn't every woman?
You know, the last podcast we did, which I think you might have heard today, was with Pete Weldon from Currumbin Valley Brewing.
Yeah.
And I said this question to him, and I think you're in way more dangerous territory. Imagine this, Rika. Okay, it's one thing for Pete, who's generally drinking like 4 or 5% beers. Yeah, one for courage, eh? You know, it's one thing for Pete. I asked Pete this question, man, do you find it hard that, you know, it's Friday night and you're doing your rep job?
Yeah.
But, you know, he's a chemist, he's a beer freak like you are.
Yeah.
And someone's going, here, just have this one. You're like, all right.
Totally.
Try this one, but you're drinking 12% gear.
Yeah, 12 to 15% generally, and that's even before we go into spirits. So, oh man, my liver. It's had a bit of a workout.
Have you had any, like, oh, fuck, I drank too much last night moments?
Only every day.
couple of times a week, darling.
For sure. For sure.
It's Uber's my best friend, I have to say, but yeah, totally. It's a very dangerous job.
Yeah.
What is it? Okay, Ricky, you love tequila, right? What's that, 40%? 40% alcohol?
Yeah.
Can you set that stuff on fire, do you think? What's the stuff you set on fire?
Like way more, like 80. Yeah.
But what is that stuff you set on fire?
Like a something or other bomb, Alaska.
It's that black stuff.
It starts with S.
S. I got one for you. Oi.
All right, what is it?
This is our first time we've ever done this.
Okay.
Hey, Google.
What is that thing?
Hey, Google. Oh.
Hey, Google.
Supposed to talk back to you.
Kidding.
Oh, no.
It's our assistant. Some assistant, Drew.
Hey, Google. Oh, maybe the thing...
Did you plug it in, Drew? Did you plug it in?
We'll get back to that. Oh, that sucks. I must have bumped it.
Hey, Google. Oh, no, she's on strike.
Hey, Google. I hate you. I hate you so much, Google.
Okay, so while you're just sorting out Google, can I ask you, because, all right, can you just...
I'm going to have some more wine.
Oh, please do.
Are you going to have some?
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Oh, why don't we have a toast?
Together.
Yeah. Okay, so you...
right.
Sorry, I'm going back to what you said about 5 minutes ago now.
Please.
So you were talking about champagne that's distributed in Australia.
Yes.
But it's not manufactured in Australia or not brewed or whatever it's called.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. No. So champagne can only be from Champagne in France. So everything else, if it's not made from the Champagne region in France, it's just not champagne.
So it's legit champagne that you're...
Yeah. It's generally sparkling wine. So it has to be sparkling wine or called Prosecco or what, different variations of sparkling. But the only thing in the world that can be called champagne is any champagne actually made in Champagne in France.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's just like a patent kind of thing, right? That's what I heard a long time ago?
Basically.
They own the word.
Yeah, they own the word because, it's the region. Like that's, they started that movement. Like it's passionate. It's, it's theirs. And Italy now is starting to do the same thing with Prosecco. So, it's not only the style that they make it, they want to sort of own affiliation. They want to own and put, credences onto this.
What is Prosecco?
Prosecco, it's a sparkling wine from Italy.
Oh.
Yeah. It's generally a dry sparkling wine from Italy. Yeah, and it's awesome. But, you can't just... There's Australian sparklings that go around and say, we're a Prosecco, and it just... it's just not fair, really. Right. So I'm sort of on that allegiance with that. So yeah.
Okay, now, all right. I don't, like I said here before we started doing this, have no fear. I'm not... No one here is an expert on anything. Well, you are. Don't get me wrong. But I'm going to ask you questions, so don't feel pressured into knowing the answers at all.
Okay, all right,
because we're not from Italy.
Yeah.
Right, but does it mean, okay, if champagne is from
Champagne in France?
Yeah.
Yep.
When they say they own it, does that mean like the country owns the name, or is it
the region?
The region, but how can they? That's kind of weird. How can they actually own...
Yeah.
When there's a whole bunch of different labels in that region.
That's right. Well, it's a
Wow.
conglomerate. I mean, they've all come together. It's a conglomerate. And it's also the way that you make it. I mean, champagne is made in a method traditionnel, which is the bottles are occurred in the bottle. The bubbles are occurred in the bottle. So it's not like I'm just being basically like a soda stream machine that's activating the bubbles, which we see with some basic sparklings. So it's about... you know, the way it's cared for, the region, the appellation, the whole, you know, appreciation for where it started, and all the wineries have got together and sort of said, you know, and bandied together and said, you know,
clever.
We want.
How clever.
We should have done that with
champagne.
Vegemite. If it's not from Australia,
Yes.
you cannot call it Vegemite.
Wow.
100%. Yeah.
No,
Marmite would
But
not
that's
exist.
the logic behind it, isn't it? It's
Correct,
like we started this.
Exactly.
You
Okay,
can make
well-
the same thing, just don't call it the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
well, is Marmite and Promite, is that actually from the UK? And are they pissed that we took over, that we started this thing called Vegemite? They're like, Vegemite, we started the whole deal.
You are so right there, actually. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We're just like convinced that it's the other way around.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No,
Yeah.
here's due. So what are we drinking?
Cool.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Thank you.
No worries. This is a French rosé from
French
Côte de
rosé.
Provence. And the reason that I brought it is because it's like a massive movement at the moment. Everyone is drinking rosé. You know, this blush, dry, elegant, feminine rosé. And that's what we're drinking like now.
That's
so.
beautiful.
So what is it? Because it's pink. I know that much. So what?
So rosé is generally red wine grapes,
Yeah.
but they're only on skins for a very short period of time, and then that's what extracts the colour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, say that again. So,
okay. So it hasn't
Yeah.
fully gone red yet.
Yeah, so no, they're red wine grapes,
Yeah.
generally like Syrah or Shiraz, for
Yeah.
example, right? And Shiraz is known as a red wine grape, but what gives the colour to the rosé is how long the skins are actually left. So they leave it for a short period of time,
Yeah.
and that extracts a minimum
colour.
amount of colour
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that wine. And it also imparts tannins and all these other characteristics.
okay, I'm going to bring out all the dumb questions to you,
Yeah,
I
me
swear.
too.
So
it's
does
good.
that mean red wine, full
Yeah.
solid red wine?
Yeah.
They've left the jackets on for longer, or, you know,
Yeah,
they left
totally.
the skin on?
Yeah. They're wearing jackets and they press them with the jackets and
Yeah.
So
they,
neat.
they mull it and they do they press them and punch them and extract them and
Wow. You know,
Yeah.
So what?
And they leave them for long periods of time while they're fermenting, and it extracts all that sort of beautiful characteristics and flavours. It's
What a
it's
kick-ass
really cool.
job you've
Yeah.
got. Look at it.
I know.
You know what I mean? There's people out there digging holes.
Yeah,
And,
Digging holes is good too.
yeah, I know, but
they earn great money.
yeah, but look at the your eyes are lighting up. Seriously.
They are. You are so passionate about what you do. You can.
Well, how
tell.
can you not be when you're drinking good booze? It's so easy.
Yeah, exactly. So do you
what's- oh,
go?
sorry.
No. Come on.
So,
Come on, Rika.
okay. So what is... Because red wine has that distinct kind of bitter, peppery, you know,
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
and then you've got the white wines that are kind of more tart.
Yes.
So what's a rosé supposed to taste like?
So rosé generally, well, it depends on which region we're looking at. I don't want to be too clinical with this because it gets a bit boring for those that aren't wine connoisseurs. But look, it's just extracting different regions. So it comes down to three different elements, really. So it's a winemaking, regionality, where the grapes are actually grown in the world, in the country, and climate. Climate plays a massive part to it, and so that changes the flavour of the wines that you drink. So if you think of those three things, whenever you drink wine, then that's what sort of imparts it. Because you can have, say, Syrah, which is Shiraz here in Australia, same grape, just made in a completely different style. So it's basically, because of regionality, it's a cooler climate there. So the cooler climate is what sort of doesn't impress as much fruit-driven characteristics up front. In a white wine, you're not going to get all those stone fruit characteristics that you get from warm climate wines. So if you grow, let's take it back as well, if you grow, like, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Am I going
I was
on
only
a
being
bit?
nice to you before.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
only being nice to you, saying we're not experts. I need to make you feel like relaxed, but you are.
You are an expert.
You are.
You know
I'm
your shit.
definitely not an
gear.
expert.
Bang.
But okay, then. But what
Come on,
makes?
I'm-
Why is there a sudden interest in rosé then?
Yeah, well, man, Australia are so behind the
That's what
rest of
Pete
the world.
said.
You
That's
know,
what Pete said
Like,
last week.
Yeah,
But of course
yeah,
we
with
are.
everything.
But of
like,
course
with
we are.
music, with everything, with fashion, with everything. You know, like they're
Yeah.
only getting eyebrows now. So,
But we're supposed to be the leaders. Don't we get the sun first? Don't we?
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Don't we?
Exactly.
Doesn't
It's
mean
been
anything, though.
reversed.
Means nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing now.
We're only getting eyebrows now. You know what my wife does? She my wife's into this thing where she brushes on like a and it's the go. It's what you guys all do.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
freaks me out for
Yeah,
24
yeah.
hours. She'll like tint her eyebrows, right? So for 24 hours she looks like serious and angry, but it means she doesn't have to do something for.
She's tinting her eyebrow.
Yeah, but it happens every sort of 4 days. It freaks me out. I think you can't go out like that, but I've never noticed it when she's out. But around home, she's like, with these crazy eyebrows.
Grouchy marks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if someone comes
Things
over
we
right
gotta
now,
do.
you just...
It's all about the brows. And just that, it's all about the brows, it's all about the rosé. We're like 10 years behind. Like everyone in Europe just drinks rosé. That's what they do. And it's because it's easy, as you can
It
say.
is.
So easy. It's light. It's generally lower in alcohol. It's feminine. It goes with a multitude of different foods because it sits right in that parameter of red and white wine, proximity to the palate, I suppose.
And can I be dodgy?
Oh, go.
I get
Yeah,
heartburn.
totally.
Like I used to drink a lot of... this is embarrassing. Lambrusco. Right?
Yeah.
Loads
It is
of it.
embarrassing.
I like
I
Lambrusco.
love it. And you know...
Totally embarrassing.
yeah, Lambrusco. in the box too. I don't care.
Oh no, I got mine in bottles.
Yeah, well, no.
Because it was easy to drink 'cause it's cold.
Yeah, well, you know, that really fruity sort of wine taste. And then I went
Yeah.
into red wines and I started getting heartburn, like bad heartburn, that went on for years,
Yeah.
right? So this rosé,
This is nice.
Yeah.
could you imagine that
Yeah.
everyone gets heartburn, do you not? Or is it just a bloke thing?
Oh no, some
Yeah,
some
it's a
wines give me
serious problem
heartburn.
for a lot of lads.
Yeah.
You know, because we always eat the worst food.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So,
It's got
but
something
what we're
to
drinking
do.
right now, that was my biggest issue. Because if you had to brought out something really bitter,
Yeah.
and
It's the
it might have
acid.
torn me up. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the acid in the wine that also does that. You know, it's not just the preservatives, which is minimal amount, which we'll get to later, but it's just the acid. The acid can really set people off. And, you know, there's a
and
natural
stop a whole
occurring.
industry.
Yeah.
Like I stopped buying wine because of that reason.
Yeah, and it affects people
But I could
differently,
drink
just like
whiskey.
food. Yeah,
This is
totally.
really, really nice.
Yeah.
It's easy to drink.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, and it's just.
Could you stop saying feminine though?
Well, do you feel masculine holding that beautiful blush glass of
Rosé.
rosé, Drew?
I'll do with you,
You know,
ladies.
you know what? Women actually really, really dig that. Totally. If
I do tucking into some rosé.
yeah,
ladies.
yeah, it's like wearing a pink shirt, though, isn't it?
It
It's
shows
like
a little
owning
bit of
it.
sophistication.
Yeah, I'm
and-
owning my masculinity.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I wish Pete was here right now.
Well, as opposed to someone that's just like,
should have a,
crack open a VB for us, love.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah, that's gone. That's
That's gone.
really far now. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gone.
VB and 4X Heavy. I said in the last podcast a little bit. I used to work at the Backpage Sports Bar.
Yeah.
When there was really only 5 beers.
At Carrara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was before craft beer was about. You just could buy a 6-pack of like mixed German beers back then.
Yeah.
You know, that's at certain bottle shops. Even Dan Murphy's wasn't invented then.
Okay.
I don't think. You know,
All
Dan
right.
Murphy's
Yeah.
was in my
Yeah.
opinion, you
Yeah.
know, dodgy local style is the start of like an opening up of things you could really buy.
Yeah.
I'm the Gold Coast. I'm from Sydney, so I know wankery. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so but yeah, locally, you know, it was all VB,
Yeah.
and forgot what I was talking about.
Blonsky, VB.
I really forgot what I was talking about.
No, because we were talking about how far we've come since the crack open and VB lol days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that you can like still look, you know, masculine while holding a beautiful blush glass of
Yeah.
rosé.
I think you can now.
You know,
I think
you can.
Oh, you
Totally,
can.
it's
Yeah.
totally acceptable, and we dig it.
I've got
It's
I've
good.
got this theory that everything